Well, thanks so much for having me on the show, Paxton. It's great to be with you. And this time for a little bit of a longer session. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Um, I'm a life coach. I'm a certified life coach. So I do one-on-one coaching and meaning I help coach people one-on-one through their specific situations, which can include narcissistic abuse recovery, preparing to go into court with a narcissist. I help parents and other loved ones of somebody who's in a narcissistic relationship kind of understand what that person is feeling and how to be supportive of their loved one who's ever in the relationship. So that's primarily what I do one-on-one. I have a group coaching program, which I just started this month, which is off to a great start so far. Basically, people can get their individual questions answered without having to purchase my one-on-one bundles, which is only how I communicate with people. That's just how I do coaching. But now this group coaching format is done in such a way where people can ask their questions and have their specific questions answered in detail and fully. You can also watch the replays. So it's turning out to be a good addition. And then I also try to raise awareness of narcissistic abuse and what it looks like to go through the recovery process. And I do that through my social media platforms, which include Instagram and, of course, my YouTube channel, where I have many videos, programs, mentorship programs, and series on there so that people can start their healing journey as well. People who are part of this group coaching can either listen live and hear the advice, because sometimes people don't know what to ask for. And there are several times when I've been coaching a client one-on-one, and I wish that it was going to be available for some of my other clients to have heard that conversation, which of course that's not possible, but it would be amazing if it was. And so the group coaching, I actually had people ask me, is there a way where we can do group coaching? The way that I've set this up right now is so that it is anonymous, but it's set up to eventually evolve into a community where if people do want to interact with other people, they can create a profile and they can connect with other people. So this is our first month. Like I just mentioned, we've had 2 sessions so far. It's always on Tuesdays, and the membership lasts for 30 days. And so you have 30 days to access all of the past recordings, as well as submit your own unique individual question to have it answered during the next session. And obviously you can ask unlimited amounts of questions. It just goes in order that I receive them. So it's a really awesome opportunity, I think, for people to get their questions answered. I know that a lot of times people will try to message me through Instagram or something like that, their question, but without knowing more of their background, I can't give a full answer. So in this format, when you sign up, there's actual instructions on how to give me the background to your specific situations, so that when I'm answering the question, I know what's going on around the question. In other words, the advice of somebody that I might give to somebody who's in the process of divorcing a narcissist, for example, so they've already started the process, would be different than somebody who has yet to file for divorce, or somebody who's dealing with a narcissistic boss or what have you. So handling the narcissist in the situation you're in, it needs to be tailored, which is why I need more background information, which is also why I set up the group coaching to be done in such a format where I ensure I get enough information so that this is actually applicable information. That's such a great question, Paxton, because that's exactly right. Honestly, that's probably the most common comment that I get, which is that I'll be describing a situation and then people recognize that's my situation. I didn't know that there was a name for this. I didn't understand that this is actually called narcissistic abuse. And because I was explaining how they might be feeling, they actually come to the realization that that's what they are experiencing themselves. So, and again, this is a general answer to this question. I want to make sure that I say that only because there are different types of narcissists, right? So narcissism isn't just one thing. It doesn't look, feel, come across as just one thing, because there's different types of narcissists. And of course, the personality of the specific narcissist will also come across in the way that they do abuse. But just for people to kind of get some kind of grid point for what we're talking about, we are talking about feeling like they're never heard, right? That their partner, or that the person that they suspect of being a narcissist lacks empathy, that it's always all about them, that they're feeling as though they're kind of being brought along for the ride of the show, which is all about the narcissist. So they're never center stage. And if there should be a reason why they do get center stage, such as just promotion or a birthday, even any kind of thing that puts somebody else in center stage, it's quickly removed by the narcissist, who cannot stand to share the limelight. They feel entitled to things. They believe that they are more important than other people. They must constantly have the praise, attention, and recognition of other people. And this doesn't have a limit, right? Even if it's clear that that type of behavior is not being rewarded in the system that they are performing those behaviors in, the narcissist doesn't care. They don't have the ability to say, okay, that's inappropriate. They're so driven by being the center of somebody else's attention, of receiving their praise, of receiving their admiration, that they will continue to do their harmful behavior, even when it's not having the intended or desired outcome. So what this comes across, what this actually looks like when you're in a relationship with somebody who has narcissistic abuse, and again, I use that as a very general term. This could be a boss, it could be a parent, what have you. You're going to experience gaslighting. So in other words, you will feel as though there's consistent misrepresentation, lying, denial, manipulation of your words and situations to make you think that what you are experiencing never took place, has not happened, is not happening now. It makes you think that you can't trust yourself. Gaslighting's whole reason that narcissists employ this is to get you to doubt yourself and to rely more heavily on the narcissist, so that the narcissist seems to be like the only person who knows your true north. And one of the side effects of having gaslighting done to you, especially over a long period of time, is what we call crazy making. So the term gaslighting, I'm sure that most people are aware of this already, originates from a movie that was produced in the 40s called Gaslight. And in this video, the husband tries to rewrite essentially his wife's history and what she's experienced. And so sometimes this is done by creating a trauma bond, and that trauma bond can be built with actually in less than 2 days. And what we used to call Stockholm syndrome, we now call the trauma bond. And the original name, Stockholm syndrome, comes from a situation where there was some bank robbers in Stockholm who ended up taking hostages in a bank, and they held the hostages. These are customers and bank employees. They held them hostage for just over 38 hours, and in that amount of time, the bank robbers actually caused what we call Stockholm syndrome to many of the people in the bank. So actually, one of them ended up marrying one of the hostages. One of the hostage takers ended up marrying one of the hostages. Another one ended up starting and then getting donations for the hostages' legal funds. And then we're talking about being around somebody for less than 2 days. So the trauma bond, you're exactly right, can happen quite quickly for some people, less than 2 days. We're not talking about an extended period of time as we might imagine, 6 months or a year, but 2 days of non-interrupted connection with that person is enough to develop this trauma bond. And through the trauma bond is how the narcissist is able to, the trauma bond is basically the tool the narcissist use, or the road the narcissist use to make an inroad with their victim so that they can employ things such as gaslighting, passive aggressive behavior, I was just joking, sarcastic statements, things like that. And so they will use the fact that they know that that person is trauma bonded to them. In other words, they are addicted to the way that they feel when they are with or around that person. And the narcissist is very well aware of that. So great question. It does not need to be a long period of time. What I meant to say by people who have been gaslit for an extended period of time, meaning over a year, dealing with this for over a year, it's easy to lose who you are, your sense of self, your sense of identity, your self-esteem, and things of that nature. And when this happens, you can absolutely see that the abuse is escalating during this time, because the narcissist knows that there isn't any limit that they could push you to that you wouldn't be willing to take at that point. As you can see with the Stockholm syndrome, going back to the woman who ended up marrying one of the kidnappers, to her death, she advocated for her husband, the kidnapper, saying that he was misunderstood, that, the state had failed to provide him with the things that he needed in order to have a healthy outlook, that he was actually the victim of the entire thing. So absolutely, the person that they pick, they are able to read very well. They know that this person has strong codependent traits, that this person will not set boundaries, that this person would be easy to isolate and ultimately manipulate for whatever end state the narcissist had in mind. What you don't understand from the outside looking in, what a lot of people can't understand, is that during this phase of the trauma bonding being formed, is that there's an extreme element of love bombing. This is where the person makes the victim feel like, they just can't survive without them. They're everything that they've been looking for, waiting for. They just simply can't go on without them. Their undying love is professed instantly.
Oh, wow.
And this has the emotional and mental trigger to allow our brains to dump a ton of chemicals that make us addicted to the feeling that we get when we're around the narcissist. Extreme amounts of oxytocin are being released into the bloodstream at this point, which is further strengthening the trauma bond, because you're going to want to believe that this person, this love bombing person, the version of the narcissist doing that is the real version of the narcissist. It's not until later on that you're going to discover that these cycles of ups and downs and all arounds, these roller coasters, are deliberate, they're intentional, and they're to make you further trauma bonded to the narcissist, and that they happen quickly enough for you to not have time to sit and reflect. It's designed so that you will not have the time to analytically look at the situation and say to yourself, this has been happening for far too long. I can't deal with this. I can't go up and down. I can't do that anymore. And it's done deliberately. This is a very fast-paced situation where you won't have time to actually look at the big picture. You'll just be so consumed with how you're feeling at this moment. And that's by design. Yeah. So it will always start with the love bombing phase. The next will come with the devaluation. In this phase, the narcissist wants you to know that you're nothing to them. You could never make it without them. You are not ever going to survive. You couldn't hope to get somebody as, great as them again. You better, recognize how good you've had it with them, et cetera, et cetera. That's the devaluation phase. The next phase is going to be discard, meaning, I can't do this with you anymore. You're such a loser. I have to cut you out. Like, you're such a cancer. You're toxic. I don't think you even recognize the kind of damage you've been doing to me. Like, you're so self-centered that you can't even, see what you're doing. And I don't have time for this. So the discard phase follows the devaluation phase. And that is then followed by there's an intermediate phase, which is sometimes called the hoovering stage, which is basically the narcissist has gone no contact. You feel terrible. You've been reaching out. You've been calling, texting, emailing, and in which case the narcissist is likely telling their flying monkeys or the people who support them, hey, look how crazy this person is. She's obsessed with me. He won't stop leaving me alone. He's insane. Like, see, I told you he was crazy. Look how many times she called me. Yeah, you will see that the narcissist will start using their other resources, such as those who have supported the narcissist, who believe everything that they say, these flying monkeys, to then they get interested. So now they want to go follow you on social media and see what you're doing. Hey, wonderful. Thank you so much. We're going to do that.
Have fun today. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
This is NATV Network.